the United stand. Hope you're all doing really well. We've got loads to talk about tonight, and it is going to be a call-in as well. But let's start off with the potential issue that Manchester United are going to face with Paul Pogba and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He's withdrawn from the French squad. Some people are saying, oh, don't worry about it, it's only a knock. But I do worry about it. I worry about it for two reasons. The noise is coming out of the Manchester United, and also the fact that Paul Pogba loves playing for France. He loves playing for France. He doesn't necessarily love playing for United. He loves going away on international duty with France. And the reality is he can't even go on a training pitch for a week, because if he could have gone, if he was going to be back later this week, he would have stayed with the French setup. He's not going to be fit enough to train until early next week. Which we can deduce quite easily from what Manchester United's website says, and also the fact that Paul Pogba, if he could have played in the second game, he would have just rested with France for a couple of days. This is worrying, because if he's not going to be fit for Leicester, what does that mean? Maybe we'll talk about that more in a moment, and some calls as well. But the big issue I want to start off with first of all is this. This is what really annoys me today. I read it this morning that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is unhappy with, and it's only a story in the press, so it might not be true, and I don't think it is true, but let me just say it, because I think this is indicative of the British press. And basically what it said is that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is frustrated with Rashford and Martial for them not scoring enough goals in and around the box, right? Now, let me just say this. Anthony Martial this season has been our best player, with Wan-Bissaka, Daniel James, Harry Maguire, and to some extent Paul Pogba, but maybe leave Pogba out of the equation. Martial's been fantastic. He played 2 games, he got 2 goals, his hold-up play was brilliant, and then he played against Crystal Palace. He got absolutely no service. Now let me just separate the two issues here. Absolutely no service. Marcus Rashford against Southampton had loads of service. There were no crosses whizzing in for Martial to make front post runs. There was nothing like that against Crystal Palace. We created shit. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nil. Against Crystal Palace, we created loads of chances. Marcus Rashford just wasted them. So why is Anthony Martial being put into the same article about wasteful finishing with Marcus Rashford? I've got a choke. I've got a seed stuck in me. Anyway, not that sort. So I'm really frustrated by this, because we are fighting this battle week in, week out. Week in, week out. You got Graham Souness yesterday saying that Moise Kean, and I've probably pronounced his name wrong, from Juventus, has led to leave Everton because of a bad attitude. And that makes a lot of people think that it's to do with something that maybe it isn't, but they're not helping themselves. The British media do not help themselves. Why is Anthony Martial part of this discussion about Marcus Rashford's bad finishing? Is it because he's come through the youth at Manchester United? Is it because he's a young Englishman and he's not, and he's British? Why is Anthony Martial part of this argument? Why is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer fed up and angry with Rashford and Martial for not scoring enough scrappy goals? Martial this season has played fantastically well. He got 2 goals in his first 3 games and then he got injured. His movement, his hold-up play has been immense. Yet we have an article this morning which all should be about Marcus Rashford and the fact that he's not fulfilling his potential. But no, we throw Martial in it as well, because we can't just put the article out and say, Rashford's crap at the moment, let's focus on that. No, let's bring Martial into it as well. Let's bring the young Frenchman into it as well with our Marcus Rashford. It's just idiotic. It's idiotic journalism, and it's quite frankly cannot be true. It cannot be true, because if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer thought that, he's a fool and we should sack him tomorrow. Because Anthony Martial this season has been fantastic. He's living off scraps. He's got 2 goals in 3 games. He's injured at the moment and he's been brilliant. And it irritates me that we can never just say, oh, you know what I'm expecting next? Next article. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's really pissed off with Jesse Lingard and Daniel James for not creating enough chances. That's how idiotic that article this morning is about Rashford and Martial. Because there's no comparison between the season Martial's had already and the season Rashford's had already. But nobody seems to want to do it. Whether it's ex-United players, the press, they don't want to say what it is. Pogba's had it enough. Pogba and Martial have had it enough. They've had enough stick over the last couple of years from people in and around that club in the media. But, oh, Rashford's bad. Oh, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. You might knock the lad's confidence. It's ridiculous. Zayn Riassi says, Mark Rashford has always been average. You need a world-class striker. He's like a United Walcott. Your last great striker was Van Persie. I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't necessarily agree. I think Rashford can come good, but at the moment, he's got a lot to learn. A lot to learn. I think that's it. Going back to Pogba, a lot of people talking about that. So Paul Pogba has limped out of the game with Southampton at the weekend. He finished the game, but he limped out of the stadium. He's withdrawn from the French setup with an ankle injury. Now, some people are saying it's only a knock, he'll be back for Leicester. I hope that is the case, but the reality is Paul Pogba loves playing for France. And if this was just a knock and he's going to be back training on Thursday or Friday, he would stay with France because then he could play the second game for France. This shows it's more than just a knock. This shows he's not going to be able to train this week. And if he can't train this week, then why can't he train this week? Because a knock should be a couple of days. It's a worry. It's a very big worry. I hope he's back for Leicester. Hopefully it's just precautionary. But what I would say is Paul Pogba never wants to withdraw for France. He loves playing with France. He loves that situation. So if he's withdrawn from that squad, this injury is a concern. And if this injury is a concern, then that he is a concern for Leicester. It's an early one, but what do you think about that? I want to get your opinions on that on the call-in. What do you think about that and Paul Pogba? Does it worry you? How bad can we get without Pogba? Would we be better without Pogba? We'll talk about that on the call-in maybe. Delegation Gaming says, please explain the administrative autonomy of the club and what would initiate a Glazers out. How would such a situation progress? I've got no idea, mate. I think if anybody knew how to get the Glazers out of the club, they would. What I would say is, if you want to look at what the Glazers do to clubs, go and have a look at what they did to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think they won the Super Bowl in the early noughties, and then the Glazers bought them, and they've not been anywhere near it since. They're an absolute. I mean, I don't 100% know, but it doesn't sound very good. In fact, probably don't read about that. Also, last night, remember, where would we be if Moyes was still in charge? Says Sean Byrne. I don't know. I don't even want to think about that. But last night, I mentioned some comments about how Paul Scholes had said it's going to take 2 or 3 years. This was a quote from Gary Neville. And maybe somebody might want to call in and have their thoughts on this or in the live comments. Gary Neville has said, it's so important to have people who want to be there forget how talented they are. I spoke about this last night. It's so important to have players who want to be there forget how talented they are. I mean, what? Am I going to play up front for United then because I want to be there but I've got no talent? You know, it does worry me a little bit about this patience thing, but we've done that last night. But what I did want to say, and maybe, again, people might want to talk about this as well, I just want to say, from a positive point of view, every single signing of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer so far looks brilliant. It's only a few games in. We've got to be very careful of that because I think that initially maybe Lukaku looked like he was going to be a good signing and maybe Eric Bailly looked like he was going to be a good signing, but ultimately I think they ended up being flops in some ways. But the 3 signings he's made have been very good. The players that he's got out of the club have been very, very good. Darmian's gone today. But it's funny because I was talking to Flex today and the Flex and Rank show is going up tomorrow lunchtime and it'll be well worth a listen. But I think that Flex was going, you know what, Rance really isn't sure about Solskjaer. He's not Solskjaer out, but he doesn't rate him as a coach. He thinks he's making the same mistakes as last season. And Flex was like, I don't agree with that. I think he's doing the right things. He's getting rid of the right players. He's bringing in the right sort of players. We just need time. And you know what I said? Flex, right, okay, you're both right. Rance is right to question him tactically, and you're right to applaud him for getting the right players in and the right players out. You know, but on the pitch, I've got to agree with Rance and say I'm not noticing anything tactically better than last season. I'm not noticing anything better in his substitutions and some of his team selections. And also, I don't think that his game management's any better. I really don't. But I do agree with you that his recruitment and his selling has been great. Are we not just describing a director of football here? Because what selling players and buying players, but not being as good on the pitch, well, that's a director of football, surely. I mean, are we? You know, as a director of football, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has done very well. He needs to do better on the pitch. I don't think they are exclusive. I don't think they work together. I think, you know, the most important thing for a coach is to be winning on the pitch and playing a good brand of football. But I must admit, the ins and outs have been really good. Zayn Mayassi says Mark Pogba is playing for the biggest club in Europe, paid 15 million a year, and his attitude is awful. He's a lazy act. Digvigi Rout says Mark, is Dan James our new hope? He's a good player. I miss Mourinho. Sorry, Mark, says Satar McGill. Hey, we've all got our issues, but I don't think that Jose Mourinho. I've seen it today. Oh, Mourinho made a great quote on Sky Sports tactically again yesterday. I just think football by its very nature, and I'm like it as well. We're all flippant and we all want to see the good in somebody. But the reality is, I saw somebody today about Mourinho, just to answer that super chat. I saw somebody today say about Mourinho, oh, I watched Mourinho on Sky yesterday talking about the tactics of the front three of Arsenal. And it just proves to all those people who hated him what a great manager he still is. And a few United players let him down. He's still a great manager. And I thought, like, he was at Chelsea before Manchester United. He got himself the sack 6 months after winning the title because he was shit. He got exposed and he was shit. And then he came to United and he pretty much carried it on. His brand of football is dead. It's park the bus, pragmatic, slow football. And at the moment, it doesn't work. Mourinho is a very intelligent guy. He's got a brilliant Wikipedia page. And I could sit and talk to him about football all night. He's no doubting he's a genius in relation to managers and he's one of the best ones there's ever been. But he's not a manager of today. He's a manager of 10 years ago. He's not, well, even 5 years ago, but not now. He's not a manager of now. And if he was, why is he not in a top club in Europe? He makes out that he's waiting for the perfect job. I don't think anybody really wants to go near him at the moment, and that speaks volumes. He's not trusted because I don't think he's a manager of now. And as for a Manchester United manager, if you miss Mourinho, that's up to you. But there's more than enough evidence from my side to say that I never wanted him anywhere near Manchester United again. And I was very happy that he got sacked. Can we get Pep? Says Sresh Bridget. Look, if we got Pep Guardiola as Manchester United manager, I think he would fail. I think he would fail because how is he going to get us to play good football, for one, because we haven't got that sort of brand of footballer. And for two, we haven't got an open checkbook like Manchester City have, like Bayern Munich had when he was there, like Barcelona have. Manchester United would, I think Pep Guardiola would fail because he hasn't got the players. He put everything in, he had people at Manchester City, his people at Manchester City, before he even went there recruiting players. It's he's got everything he needs to be successful. He would not have that at Manchester United. And for me, that I stand by that. Nick P, tired of Jose sympathisers. He was crap. It was torture. Time is doing me a lot of favours because time heals all. But we had to live through his dross. I agree, Nick P. I mean, there's loads of scenarios, but I always think whenever I start to think, could Mourinho have done well? I just always think of that West Ham game a year ago, 5 at the back with McTominay. Yeah, absolute shambles. But look, if you think he's good, that's up to you. It's your opinion. Mark, why did you waste 75 million on Lukaku and not pay that for Bruno Fernandes, who could be the new Luis Figo? Same Miasi. Zane, I know you're making super chats, but you're dominating the live comments. I told you this yesterday on That's Football. Save your money. You've had 3 comments now. Bruno Fernandes wasn't really a player that United were looking at 2 years ago anyway when we signed Lukaku. And Lampard must be a United fan, says Charlie Zelenoff. Lukaku's scored another goal yesterday for Inter, didn't he? But he's gone. He's gone, and that's it. Fernandes to Real Madrid. I don't know whether it's happening at United. I was hoping it wouldn't. I was really hoping that it wouldn't. We are going to start the call in a moment. Pogba, Gomez, Fred is our best midfield, says King Caravan. Look, on Fred, somebody might want to call in about Fred, but the reality is, on Fred, can I just say this? With regards to Fred, he is a player at Manchester United that is fit and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not using. Simple as that. Right, we're going to start taking calls on the Discord, but I want to say this first of all. This is Discord. There's a link in the video description, okay? Link in the video description. When you get in there, you'll go, what the hell is Discord? Because on a Skype calling, you just Skype. That's as simple as it is. But on a Discord, you'll get into something similar like this. And down the left-hand side, you will see things like match day, general, transfers, media. You can go into all those and you just type away 24/7 and have chats with people. If you want to talk verbally with people, you go into the live show area and you wait in the calling queues and you chat around and then you'll get pulled through to come into a live show with me. That's how it works. So it's down the left hand side, and as you can see, all these people now are having chats amongst themselves waiting to come in. But even when the show is over, you can still get in and chat with each other. That's how a Discord server works. So let's take our first call of the evening. I'm in there and I think hopefully Paul can hear me. Paul, I know you were going to come on first tonight. How you doing, pal? Hopefully you can hear me. I don't believe in Fred coming good at this club, says Chummy Jordake. And Mark, Pogba is injured or what? We've already spoken about Paul Pogba, to be honest with you. Yeah, we've done that one. Okay, Paul, can you hear me?
Yeah, mate, you all right?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Anything in particular you wanted to talk about tonight, or can I just put a question to you first of all about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer potentially, doing very, very well as a director of football, but it doesn't go hand in hand with what's going on the pitch at the moment?
Yeah, I'm seriously confused about how to feel at the moment about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because I want to back him. I want to give him time. He's doing everything right off the pitch. He's kind of doing what he said he would do. Not exactly, but at the end of last season, in terms of, he's turning over the squad and he's recycling it into something that we will want to see. But at the same time, he's not using youth as much as we wanted. His in-game management is poor. He seems to be a one-trick pony with tactics. And do you know what? You remember my biggest complaint about Mourinho. We didn't know what our style of football is. Now, unfortunately, I'm saying the same thing about Ollie. We half press from the front, we half counter, we try and keep the ball, but we can't. But that's not really the way we play. So again, what's our style of play? So I'm getting tugged either way. I listen to people like Rants when he's very factual about Ollie as a manager and can he cope. And then I listen to the other side of the coin, which is give him time. He's going in the right direction. And I'm like, I'm a little bit lost on it, Mark, at the moment.
Well, what about this one then? Because Gary Neville as well has said that he says, obviously patience is important. We're going to see a lot more results like Southampton. We'll have good results, we'll have bad results. But that's what happens when you start playing the youth because they're going to, they're not experienced. So they're going to miss chances and you're going to drop points along the way. It's a young team. We've just got to give them time. Now, that's talking as if the team now is a young team. And I was trying to think about it. And I thought, well, you know what? Actually, Rashford is still in his early 20s. So is Martial. Daniel James is obviously in his early 20s. Wan-Bissaka's in his early 20s. McTominay's in his early 20s as well. Pogba, Lingard, Lindelof, Maguire, Luke Shaw, De Gea. I would class them as having to be really experienced players now. Do you agree with that from Gary Neville? It's these results are to be expected because it's a young team, or do you not think it really is that much youth when you think about the likes of Rashford and Martial have been playing football for well over 3 years in the first team?
It's all about perspective, mate. I mean, is it youth or is it experience? Because this is Rashford's 4th season as a first team player, and I don't think he's improved one little bit. But he's still 21, so he has room to improve. He's on 250 grand a week. Should we allow him to still need improvements because he's going to be our main striker? But at the same time, you can see what he's got, so he's going to get better. It just depends on perspective, and this is why I'm not flip flopping. But one day I think Rashford can score the goals that we require, and the next game I think he's just going to let us down too much, even if he does get a few goals. So. Yeah, it's kind of a contradiction to say we're going to get results because we're playing youth, but we're not actually playing youth. So, where are the results going to come from? It's a difficult one.
Definitely. I'm going to try and get a few more calls on tonight, Paul. So instead of just doing the odd 5 minutes with everybody, I'm going to whiz through them. But thanks for opening the show and thanks for coming on, mate.
Yeah, crack on, mate. There's a few people in the queue waiting for you, so I'll see you in a bit.
Cheers, mate. Okay, we're going to get another caller on now, but just want to just summarise some of the chats in the live comments. Dan Wills, XXX Gaming says, can't Zane buy the Glazers out, Mark, instead of giving you super chats? Yeah, that's not a bad idea. They haven't been coached properly for 3 years, says Daniel. I think he's talking about Martial and Rashford there. I certainly think, just going back to the Mourinho thing for a moment, I think that Martial and Rashford's development basically stood still the minute Mourinho came in. I don't think he helped them develop at all, to be honest with you. And I think we have got to be a little bit patient with those. I still think Rashford can come good. I think I would never call him Trashford. I think it's so demeaning to the lad. You know me, at the end of last season, I said Martial was a disgrace in a United shirt, and the same with Rashford, and the same with Lingard, and the same with everybody in the team. But I do like Martial. He's my favourite player. And I really do like Rashford. At the moment, though, you've got to be honest and say he's bad. With regards to the number 9 position, I think if Martial stays fit, I think you're going to see a 20-goal striker this season. I really do believe it. It's just whether he can stay fit, because he does pick up injuries, which is a little bit unfortunate. Right, let's take another call. And let's see who we've got waiting. I'm going to pull in. Hello, can you hear me? You're live on the United Stand.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
All right, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. You?
Excited to be on your show.
Good. Did you have anything you wanted to talk about in particular, or do you want me to chuck you a question first?
You can chuck me a question.
Yeah, go on then.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, Pogba, injury. If he was not available for the game against Leicester, fuck. Is that Leicester? Is that a win for Leicester? Is it that bad?
Yeah, I think it's that bad. I think if Pogba's out, I don't even know who you would bring in to replace Pogba, is the thing.
Yeah, you know what? I've got to be honest. I watched the derby yesterday, the NLD, the North London derby, and a lot of Arsenal fans give Guendouzi a lot of stick. I just thought, you know what? I'm not saying McTominay's not going to be a success, but if we had Guendouzi in our midfield, I would be over the moon as a young player. I think he is streets ahead of everybody in our midfield apart from Paul Pogba, and he is considered to be a player that Arsenal fans don't even really want to pick. You know, they'd rather have Ceballos or I can't think who else is in their midfield, Torreira, for example. So yeah. I mean, what if Pogba's injured? What would your midfield 3 be then?
I think your guy Garner from the youth team, I don't think he's ready, but I think if you're stuck between someone like him and someone like Matic, who's half dead, I would be going for the youth. Solskjaer says he goes for the youth, and then he doesn't go for the youth, but I think realistically it would probably be looking like Mada for his 70 minutes or however long he can do it. I would have Fred in there. I don't know what's going on with Fred. I know he got married 6 times and is finally back. I don't know why he's not in the squad, why he's not playing. Do you know?
I just think it comes down to, Nora, that he's I said this 6 months ago. I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer rates Fred, and maybe he is crap in training. You know, you've got to be fair. You know, we don't know what goes on in training. Maybe he's totally crap. But I just don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer rates him, and because there's no reason, like you say, there's no reason he shouldn't be on the bench at the moment, other than Ole doesn't rate him.
I don't think he's that bad a player. I don't think he's had enough game time last season. He's shown against PSG that he can be a brilliant player. But if he's sitting on the bench every week, or sitting, in the reserves or wherever he is, he's never going to get better. The same with Greenwood. He's never going to get better because he's sitting on the bench and playing 1 minute or 8 minutes and being stuck out on the wing. I just think Solskjaer's trying to win the games with experience or what he thinks proven, and he's just proven himself to be a bit shit at the minute. Like, I am critical of him at the minute, and I feel bad for it because I think he needs a chance, but I also think he's not adapting mid-match. He's not adapting when Southampton go to 10 men. That was his opportunity to get Greenwood on and get a goal, but instead, no, he waits until there's 8 minutes left. He didn't adapt whenever Crystal Palace went up against us. You know, I just don't know if he's right, but I think he needs time.
Yeah, you know what? I said this last night. I don't think there's any issue. I don't think any United fan really wants to say Ole out because of respect for Ole and because it's not at that point. But I don't think there's any issue with being critical of it because it's not. You know, let's be honest. It's been a very, very poor start to the season, and I do agree with you that we are. It's almost like he's at a halfway house. I said this to Flex this afternoon. He's a halfway house. You look at what Chelsea are doing. He's going with the youth. He's building a philosophy. He knows he's not going to get the results immediately, but over time it will grow. You look at Ole, he sort of is using a bit of youth, but not enough, and he is still trying to grind results out with experience that's not good enough, and we're still in this situation of a bad start. I think if he'd just gone with the youth at the start of the season, we still might only have 5 points, but at least we'd be growing. I think at the moment, it's a bit like trying to grow a sunflower. He puts it in the sun for a bit and then puts it back in the shed, and just put it in the sun and let it grow, because I think the fans will back that. What do you think about Solskjaer then? You know, what's your heart telling you with this at the moment? Do you think he's going to be a success, or are you are starting to think maybe he won't be?
Like, I really want to say yes, because I don't want to go through another manager, and I think that there's obviously an issue with the board, but I think if he wasn't a United legend, I would think that he was just inept, not qualified, not right for the job. If you look at what Lampard's doing at Chelsea, Abraham played his first 2 matches, wasn't great at them. Second 2 match, and he still gave him the game time, and now he's got four goals in 2 matches or whatever. And that's the kind of thing Greenwood could be doing. But are we ever going to see it? Like, at what point is he going to, even whenever you're in a match and it's half time, make your subs at half time, take a risk, do something different. Don't wait until we're 70 minutes in and then bring fucking Matic on. And Jesse Lingard, who you dropped because he was so shite, he runs and runs and runs. So if running won a football match, we could have Usain Bolt. It doesn't fucking help. He needs to be doing something. Jesse Lingard shouldn't even be making it on the bench in any Premier League team, if you ask me. I just think he's absolutely shocking. And I think the fact that he's English and he's come through their academy and stuff, if he was a French player or a German player or whatever, he'd been gone a long time ago.
Nora, fantastic call. Really appreciated it. And please do call in again.
I will. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. It was a really good call, wasn't it? Really good start to the show. Make sure you smash a like on the video, because it is the call in and you're basically liking the callers that come on, and we've got to back the community. But that was a really good, honest call, and I think, you know what? There is a lot of truth in that. I said this before as well. If this was Mourinho's start to the season, you lot would be begging for blood. Because it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because we all love him, and because we want to make it happen and we want it to be true, we're willing to be patient. I don't think that's wrong. I don't think that's wrong to be like that, because I'm like that. I'm not criticising it, but there is a lot of leeway because of who he is and because we're so desperate for it to work. I don't think that's wrong, but I do think if he didn't have all that, a lot of people would be saying, this is shit. Who is he? You know, it's true. Welcome to Eamon Dillon. Thanks for joining the United Stand Members Club. Really, really good caller, wasn't it? And lots of people are saying that. So Nora, you know, don't get a big head, but lots of people loving your call. He wouldn't even be on the bench if he was French. And that rhymes, says Will Hansen about Lingard. Yeah, well, look, you know, I don't think I've mentioned this, but Gareth Southgate, remember we said last week, how has Lingard been called up for the England squad? Even Gareth Southgate, to be fair, addressed it and said, look, his form isn't that good at the moment, but when he's played for England, he's been good. And, you know, you've got to bear that in mind, but there's a lot of good players there around there as well. So, look, you know, if Lingard and Rashford do well for England this week, I don't even think it matters, really. I don't. I think because they do tend to do well for England. It's what they do in a United shirt that matters to me. I don't like the international break. I don't like the international break because I get worried about injuries to players. Like Wan-Bissaka's on international duty as well, and you're just like, oh, I don't need that. I don't need that. Why are people asking me to stand up? I don't understand that, because I'm not going to stand up. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'm going to take another call now. Who have we got? Let's try and get... let's try this one here. Hello, you're live on the United Stand. How can I help?
Hiya. So, you just get pulled in. It's one of these odd things, this show, isn't it, really?
Yeah, you can be mid-conversation and you're just live on the United Stand. Yeah.
Because I'm listening to you and then listening to somebody else. But, yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, is there anything in particular you want to talk about?
I suppose I have a question for you and everyone who's watching, really, because I've been speaking to a lot of people recently, and there seems to be a split hands about Ollie in, Ollie out. And I suppose my question really is, if we do have Ollie out, what's the plan to go forward? Where do we go from there? Who do we get? Is there a plan?
I think that's a very good question, and to be honest with you, I haven't mentioned it on the show, but it is something I was thinking about sort of over the weekend. I was like, you know, I suppose I thought about it, but the reality is I know the club will back. I personally think even if we're in the relegation places, he wouldn't get sacked. I think the club are so desperate for this to work, simply because it provides the board with a barrier and the Glazers with a barrier. When you put a fan favourite in charge, it sort of shields them. And if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was sacked, you're right, like, where would you go? You've tried the potential Premier League manager with Moyes. You've tried the sort of world-renowned sort of experienced manager in Van Gaal. You've tried the apparent best manager in the world in Mourinho, and then you've tried the sort of club legend manager in Solskjaer. Yeah, we could have tried different people. Maybe instead of the world's best manager in Mourinho, we should have probably tried to get a Klopp or a Pep, and maybe the club legend shouldn't have been Solskjaer. Maybe it should have been somebody else. But the reality is we've tried every option, and I think if Solskjaer went, I saw Pochettino yesterday, and I was like, I like Pochettino. He's a good manager. But he didn't game manage that very well. He didn't change his tactics throughout the whole game. His substitutions were bad. And I find him infuriating, and I'm not even a Spurs fan. I think he's a good manager, but I don't know whether he's ever going to be a title-winning manager. So I don't necessarily think he's the answer. So I don't know. I mean, what would the answer be to you? If Solskjaer was sacked tomorrow, what would you do?
I don't know. This is my problem. I mean, even with him in at the moment, I can't see a plan. Not necessarily just from him, but there doesn't seem to be a plan going forward. You know, there didn't seem to realistically be a plan in the transfer window. I know we got 3 players, but I remember watching a lot of your videos and you going, "Oh, what's happening? Oh, are we actually going to sign somebody? Oh, you know, where are these signings?" And then poof, one just comes out. You know, you were saying that Bruno Fernandes has been for 6 months and we didn't get him. So it all just seemed to be a little bit last minute. There seems to be, you know, if we are trying to win the Premier League title at some point in the future, is there a way? Is there a plan to get there in the next 3 years? I can't see it, and I think that definitely before, if Ollie is going to be sacked, there needs to be a plan in place to who we sign next. And I think again, even the appointment of Ollie was on the basis that we needed to sack Mourinho and we needed an interim manager. So again, another poor bit of planning from us.
Yeah.
And I don't know who does the planning, but there needs to be somebody there. We're talking about director of the... who was it when they were saying that Rio Ferdinand needed to come in and be the director of football? We needed somebody like that, but that never happened. And, you know, players like that. Or people like that, sorry. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm at the point with if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer failed, I'd rather Woodward and the Glazers got sacked than him. I just think we've tried so many ways now that it's almost irrelevant. You know, maybe Solskjaer would need to go because he's not good enough, but I just think it would be the 4th bad appointment, and surely you've got to sack Woodward and try and get the Glazers out at that point. And I do sort of want to keep that at the forefront of my mind, that, you know, where we are since Sir Alex Ferguson retired and all the bad decisions that have been made are made by a certain group of people who just seem to be allowed to keep making bad decisions. But, you know, hopefully it will turn it around. Ludwig 16 says, "Where's the Lingard from 2017-18? Talk about that." Well, he was only good for 2 months in that season, but I'll ask you, as the caller, can Lingard turn this around, or is he done at United?
I like him as a player because I like the prospect of what he did. I suppose it's sort of cliche, is that I'm still holding on to that guy who was talking then about those 2 months. I'm sort of still holding on, going, you know, bring him back, come back, do that again. You know, he was exciting to watch. So was Rashford. I think there's a lot of negativity around him at the moment, but he's been one of the exciting things over the last, say, 6 years that have happened to us. Martial, another exciting person over the last 6 years, and they're just falling away, and you just sort of, I suppose that's why I'm not at the point yet to say get rid of them, because they have been the most exciting thing that I have seen in a Man United football shirt for, say, the last 6 years, and I suppose that's how bad it's been. I don't know what your points have been over the last 6 years, but for a youth perspective, these guys like them and Greenwood now and Garner, people are talking about, and Daniel James hopefully will be the next exciting prospect. But I suppose that's why I'm not ready to get rid of Lingard and Rashford, because maybe one day they'll wake up and go, why aren't we doing that anymore?
Fantastic call, mate, and please do call in again.
Yeah, absolutely. Cheers, Mark.
Cheers, pal. I am going to answer what he said as well. I look, correct me if I'm wrong. If there is a video out there where I said sell Lingard, I don't think I have. I might have done, but I don't think I have. I certainly haven't said sell Rashford. I think last season I said maybe we should loan him so he can play regularly, and then obviously Ollie came in and started playing him regularly, which solved that problem. I don't want to see Marcus Rashford or Jesse Lingard sold. I know a lot of people are very angry with them at the moment, and I do agree with that anger, and I do agree with that frustration. They should be doing far, far better They're really bad at the moment, and there's no excuse for it. It's been going on for a very, very long time, since Christmas, really. In the case of Lingard, you could say it's been going on for 18 months. So, I'm not happy about it. And I think this is where people in football don't understand what fan opinion is, really, because it's like, oh, you're a Rashford hater, you're a Lingard hater. And maybe those players, if they were listening to this conversation now, would be really pissed off and like, I can't fucking stand that Goldbridge, I can't stand that last caller. But that's ridiculously naive for an entertainer. Like, you're an entertainer. If you're a footballer, you're an entertainer. If you're a stand-up comedian, you're an entertainer. If you provide a service to the public, you're an entertainer. You're never going to please everybody. You're never going to please everybody. Eden Hazard last year, I used to slag him off all the time. If he knew I was doing that, he'd be sat there going, "Well, I'm one of the world's best players," and he's slagging me off. What more can I do? And the same with Salah. He gets it a lot as well. If you're an entertainer, you're going to get criticism. If you're an entertainer and you're performing badly, you're going to get criticised. If you're a stand-up comedian and your jokes are crap, you're going to get heckled and booed. And at the moment, Rashford and Lingard are entertainers and they're performing badly. We're not judging Rashford and Lingard, the person, because we don't know them. And they're probably nice lads. But as footballers in a Manchester United shirt, they're not good enough. And unfortunately, you're going to get that criticism. You're going to get called shit. You're going to get called absolutely rubbish. That's what's going to happen. That's what happens. You're an entertainer, and they need to accept that. And the modern footballer definitely needs to accept that. If you're not thick-skinned, you shouldn't be playing for Manchester United. You ask people like Gary Neville and Paul Scholes and Ryan Giggs and Roy Keane. Every away game they were getting booed and pelters. You need that strong mentality, and it's something that's massively missing from Manchester United. We concede a goal and our heads drop. So how are they? It feels like you saw it with Lukaku when he was getting criticism from the Old Trafford crowd. And he's coming out with stuff, and you're like, you're so thin-skinned. Like, you're so thin-skinned. Like, you should just accept that fans are going to boo you and shout at you when you underperform. I remember Ryan Giggs getting it a lot at Old Trafford. People never believe that, and I've said this a few times. I used to go watch United a lot in the early noughties, and anybody that was Old Trafford will back me up on this. Ryan Giggs used to get loads of abuse. Not because he was a crap player, but because he used to give the ball away a lot. And he'd score great goals, and he was a good player, but he was infuriating at times. It's just what fans do. So, to answer that about Rashford and Lingard, look, I think Lingard at best is a bench player, but I think on his day he's a good bench player. With Rashford, I still think he can be a first teamer, but even then maybe he's a bench player. But I wouldn't sell them. I think they're very important to the club because of where they've come through with the youth setup, and that is important if you can keep that identity there. At the moment, they're massively disappointing, but I wouldn't sell them. Zayn Miasi's back again. He says, "Mark, nothing will change until Klopp and Pep go." I disagree with that. I think that's a lazy argument to say that, to be honest with you. I think it's lazy to say, "Oh, nothing's going to happen until those two go." Because why can't there be another Pep, or why can't there be another Klopp? Hello, we've got another caller on. How you doing, pal?
How you doing, Mark?
I'm good, thanks. You?
How are you?
Yeah, great. What do you want to talk about, pal?
Well, I was talking to the guys in the group chat about the whole United philosophy. Talk about Ed Woodworm and this idiot with no plan. But yeah, basically, I was just talking about we got rid of Fellaini in January, sold Ferreira. Well, got rid of Herrera on the free. We signed Wan-Bissaka, we signed Harry Maguire, but who protects Wan-Bissaka and who protects that back four now? Yeah, we've got a decent back four, but at the end of the day, midfield's job to protect that back four. And last season was an awful season. We conceded 57 goals, but then when you look at the season before, we only conceded about 28 goals. So I was saying to the guys, is defence really a priority over the midfield? It isn't. So that just goes to show Woodworm, and co just have literally no plan in place. When you look at Paul Pogba, when he's in midfield, he can't do it by himself. When he, as you said a couple of weeks ago, when he plays the Evertons, the West Hams, even this season, you're going to see it against the Norwiches, which is embarrassing. You're literally going to see him. Oops, Mark?
Yeah, you're still there, mate. You're still there, don't worry.
Oh, sorry, mate. You're going to see him just get swamped again, and he's injured now. So I know I'm from London, but I'm a very big Man United fan. I even know guys that actually work for Man City. And they were telling me stuff behind the scenes, and I was, we're finished. We're 20 years behind City. We're 15 years behind Liverpool, and as I said, we're like 10 years behind, about 10 years behind Spurs, and about 5 years behind Arsenal. And we have no chance, man. We have actually no chance. And I feel like we should back Oli, because at the end of the day, he's going to be, when I mean the puppet and slash the scapegoat slash just the kind of front cover of everything. It's gonna keep us happy because at the end of the day, he's one of my favourite players of all time at United. So when they did appoint manager, I was quite happy. So he's gonna take the brunt of it, which I think he doesn't mind because he knows the fans like me will literally back him to the end. And people saying they're sitting on the fence, but I will back Oli all the way because I can see through it. I'm a footballing man, and you can see straight. The club is an absolute sham. We're 20 years behind. I don't know. I was saying to the guys, I think Paul, we won since Fergie's left. Europa Cup, we've won bloody FA Cup. I'm sure we won the Community Shield with Moyes. I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. When Fergie left, we won the league. We won literally everything except the Premier League and the Champions League. So when we're looking at direction, there should be only 2 points on our agenda, literally. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say, Mark. Thanks.
No, I mean, look, I don't disagree with you on some things there. I think that I do worry about Wan-Bissaka. I think he's doing a lot of work. He's almost playing as a right winger and a right back, and that's not been lost on me. And in the Premier League, I don't care how fit he is, he's going to get exhausted doing that because he is doing the job of 2 people. Look, I managed the United stand. We had a game last Wednesday against a team that was a good team and we didn't know a lot about. You got a flat back 4, and I said to the 2 midfielders, don't get ahead of the ball for 20 minutes. Just don't go in front of the ball for 20 minutes. You got to, you can be not in front of the ball in their half, but I said just don't go ahead of the ball because we don't know what they've got. You've got to protect your back 4 and not go too far forward. So it worries me, the midfield. I think you're spot on about Pogba. I think you are spot on about Pogba. I think that he will get swamped. He's the easiest issue at Manchester United to solve the opposition because you just basically cut Pogba out of the game and then there's no creativity. We saw PSG do it in the first leg at Old Trafford. The lack of investment in the midfield was where this went wrong for me this summer. Yeah,
it was heartbreaking. Literally, Mark, you had me literally. Not a new job, but I transferred to a different place, and I'm a new place in Desert. So I was watching every day at work, watching you live, and it was anxiety, literally. It was hard. I went through this summer, and I was thinking, all right, we're gonna pull the cat out of the bag, and it just didn't. It just didn't happen. We just signed 2 defenders, and again, it goes back to Wood because, again, I shouldn't say Mourinho, and he went to the board and said, look, I want a defender. He didn't get a defender. He came second in the league and he conceded 28 goals. And then you look at City, that same race, they scored over 100 goals, over 100 points, and they won the league over 20. Was it 20 points? Oh, yeah, I'm sure it was over 20 points. Pep went to his board and got 5 defenders. He signed 5 defenders in one summer. That is ridiculous. Jose couldn't even get 1 defender. And then they think because we signed Harry Maguire, he is England's best centre half. Nobody could ever even argue that he's England's best centre half. I do like the look of Cody, so I think this season will be very interesting with the players coming up from the Championship. I was even watching the Championship like literally game by game last season. The first time I've ever done that as a football fan. And last season, everyone was saying it was the best season in the Championship as well. So we're gonna see what's going on with the recruitment. Because at the end of the day, I was saying to the guys, there's 7,000 professional football in the UK alone. How the hell can we not get a midfield? I don't care. I don't care if it's Shaw Longstaff. Sorry for swearing on the show, guys.
No, it's all right.
I don't care. Obviously, Milinkovic Savic, I don't care. It's not impossible to, and the main problem is, is the dressing room because I was saying to the guys, Oli, he's put his arm around Martial. Those players, you can put your arm around, get the trust back, give his number 9 back, put your trust in, but it's the players like the Pogbas, the Sanchez's, the Lukaku's, those guys with egos that want to play pianos and do dabs. Those are the guys that have with egos that it's hard to kind of tame, and he's got rid of 6 players. This year you can't say this summer because it was from Fellaini, Sanchez, Smalling, Lukaku, Darmian, and Valencia. Yeah, it was Valencia. He's got rid of 6 players, so he knows what he wants. He's got a direction. The question is, does the board and Woodworm have that direction? No, they don't.
Thanks for calling in, Ash. Really appreciate it.
Cheers, champ.
Speak to you later, mate. Good call. Another good call. Avishak Chatterjee says, worry about the future is we become a mid-table team trying to remember the last big team that fell away. Blackburn, Forest. We're getting 50 to 60 points a season is a highlight. Hope Glazers will sell. Look, I don't want this ever to turn into a meme. I would be crying if this happened, but Manchester United will not get relegated. It just won't happen. We won't get relegated. Love Row Denick says, this guy said we are 20 years behind City. In 3 to 5 years we can just be just as good as them. We just need to spend more money and Ollie needs to learn from his losses. That's a good point. I mean, look, I'll ask the live comments here. How many points do you think we are? How far do you actually think we are behind Liverpool and Manchester City? I look at Liverpool and Klopp's not been there that long. I think Klopp's been there 3 years and he's totally rejuvenated them because he's a good manager and he's bought well. I think with regards to Manchester City, they only existed 10 years ago. So, and they had to come from basically a team that was relegation fodder to where they are. Manchester United, I disagree. I disagree with this whole we've got to wait for Klopp and Pep to retire before or move on before anyone else can have a go. I think if Spurs had the right manager, maybe they do, but maybe just needs to be a little bit more game managed a little bit better. But I just think, you know what, Klopp and Pep are good managers, but there's probably another manager out there that could come into Chelsea or Arsenal or Manchester United and make them as good as that and make it a three-way race. I mean, there's no disputing that Pep at City and Klopp at Liverpool are relentlessly good at the moment, but I still think another club could come in and still, you know, at the end of the day, you only play Liverpool and Man City 4 times. You know, if you beat everybody else, you're going to get a good points total, and then it's about what you do against Liverpool and Man City. So there's still, it's a lazy argument to say, oh, nothing's going to change until Pep and Klopp have gone. I just think it's about getting the right setup at United. Nick P says, I lived through Liverpool's bad years whilst we won everything going. Times are different now. Yes, we are far behind, but things can change very fast. And I would agree with that. And Sean Turner says, I'm sick of Rashford getting away with his performance because he come through the academy. He's so overrated. Lukaku is better than Rashford. Fact. See, I would tend to disagree with you there. I think Lukaku's a better goal scorer, but the overall player, Rashford's the better player. He's just got massive issues in the penalty box. It's a good argument though. Matt Rush, 3 years to rebuild, utter rubbish. Stop penny pinching Woodward and we might just have a chance. Ollie done his job with the Deadwood. Glazers get out. Yeah, to come back on that. So how long do I think United could get back to being a title challenge? I think United could be a title challenger the season after next. 2 years. 2 years from today, we could be challenging for a title. So not this season, obviously, not next season, the season after. We could be title challengers. I think United could be in a title race next year and then win the title the year after. It's not going to happen, by the way, but it could happen. And the things that would need to happen is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would need to be the right manager, and we don't know that yet. And the board would need to have brought a midfielder or 2 in this summer, buy again in January, and buy again next summer. I don't trust this board to give them... Well, it's not about trust. This board don't back this manager to be a title contender. They didn't back Mourinho to be a title contender. He finished second in the league and they gave him no money. Mourinho deserved to be sacked. I totally agree with that. But they didn't give him enough money. They didn't give him enough money at all. They didn't give Ollie anywhere near enough money in the summer. So we're not going to be title contenders anytime while the Glazers are in charge if they continue to do what they're doing in the recent history. They don't give enough money to solve the problems at that club. And that's the thing that frustrated everybody in the summer. So I don't think it's going to take 10 years to move this around. I think it's going to take forever to turn it around with these owners in charge because they won't do the things that need to be done. They basically run clubs into the ground. Look at Tampa Bay in America. Look at Manchester United. They buy things and they suck it dry and they're not bothered about... They don't want to spend money to be successful. They want to suck it dry. That's what they want to do. So under this current ownership, we ain't winning a title again. That's the bottom line. People don't like it. We're not going to win the title. Gary Neville, Paul Scholes can say you've got to be patient 3 years. No, not 3 years. Forever. We're not winning the title ever under the Glazers again. We're not going to do it because they will not spend the money to do it. They won't even appoint a director of football to help with this, the restructuring of the club, to scout and bring in better younger players that can go straight into the team. We're buying up 15, 16-year-olds, but that's a lottery. You never know if they're going to get injured, whether they're going to develop right or not. If it was so easy to buy a 15-year-old who's going to be the next Ronaldo, everyone would do it. There's so many pitfalls in buying a 15, 16-year-old, and we're buying loads of them, and not many of them are coming through at the moment. What you want to do is buy players that are going to come straight into your team. And I personally think we could be title contenders in 2-3 years, but we're not going to be. You can talk about patience all you like. You can say Ollie's the right man. Maybe he is. You can say that some of these players are going to be first teamers. Probably they are. But we ain't going to win a title. We're not going to win a title until we start acting like a title winning side off the pitch. And we don't do that. We're getting outspent by Fulham and Villa and Everton year in, year out. You don't win titles doing that. I've said it before. United have got to buy. I don't like it, but we've got to buy our way out of this problem. We need new players. Look at Maguire, look at James, look at Wan-Bissaka. They've been ridiculously consistent, and they've brought a breath of fresh air to a team that was, not looking great. We need more players to come in. And to do that, you've got to spend money, and we haven't got the ownership to do that. So I think that's the biggest problem at the moment. And maybe Ollie is a problem, and maybe his coaching style's a problem, but actually the biggest problem is we ain't never going to win a title with these owners in charge. I'm sorry, because they don't want to spend the money. Mark, check my Ramzani video. Huge talent and fans, says Comps F7. Thanks for the contribution, mate. And John Joe Evans says, coach is only as good as his players. 70% players, 30% coaching. If you put Pep in charge of Burnley, they aren't finishing top half. Ollie will need time. And I think that's a cracking point. People run away with Pep Guardiola saying, oh, he's the best manager in the world. He pretty much he went to Barcelona and had the best player there's ever been in Messi. He went to Bayern Munich in a one-horse race and an open checkbook and won the title. And he came to Man City with an open checkbook and dominates the league. Pep Guardiola at Burnley wouldn't get in the top half. Pep Guardiola at Manchester United would struggle for top 4. It's about the players you've got, and it's the infrastructure, and it's the appetite of the owners. And what a great point that was. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new, bottom right hand corner. Mark, take a delegation to the Gulf States and get them to buy Glazers out, says Zayn Miassi. Yeah, I wish it was that easy. But what if they don't want to sell? What if they're making so much money every year, which they are, they don't want to sell? It's just a business to them. Why would you sell a business that's making money? And all you've got to put up with is a few moany Manchester United fans, but you're still making money, and they can't stop that. And those Manchester United fans are still putting the money into your pocket. It's the biggest hypocritical thing in the world, right? Manchester United fans don't like the Glazers and they don't want them to be in charge. But every year they're spending money putting it in the Glazers' pocket. Why would they leave? Every year their revenue goes up and up. And they must sit there thinking, this is hilarious. This is absolutely hilarious. They can't stand us. They don't want us to be in charge, but they continue to put money into the club and into our pocket. It's not going to change, is it? Businessmen don't have morals. All they're interested in is money, and they're making money. So why would they sell? Why would you sell something that you know for the next 10, 20 years is going to make more and more and more money? Why would you sell it? All right, you might get a good chunk of money for selling it, but actually, if you think about it, you might think, well, I could get, say, 4 billion now, but I'm going to get that over the next 5 years just sitting here doing nothing. So I don't see them going anywhere, to be honest, but they are a problem. Please do smash a like on the video. Calls have been absolutely fantastic tonight. Really enjoyed the show. And I just want to say as well, if you didn't get on, don't worry. It's the international break, and we're going to do a call-in on Wednesday night and a call-in on Thursday night, yeah. And then the same again next week. So we've got loads of call-ins to come. Do not worry if you didn't get on. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Please do smash a like on the video for all our callers. Really enjoyed it. Welcome to the United Stand Members Club, Ian Gathcat. And if anybody is a member in the live comments, chuck us a few Wan-Bissaka spiders in there, the exclusive emojis that we have if you are a member. Wan-Bissaka 1 is up there now as well. Thanks everyone for watching. Really enjoyed the show. We're not going anywhere for the international break, don't you? There's loads to talk about, and it will make it go quicker. So I'll see you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Flex and Rant show goes up at 1 o'clock tomorrow as well. Really good show. I've seen it already. Sancho, Partey and Fernandes put us in a title race, says Jay. Look, United could be in a title race very quickly if they spent the money, but they won't spend what needs to be spent in one summer. It's all very gradual. But the trouble with being gradual is If United are waiting to buy their midfielders next summer we might have another problem where we need a left back, or we need another centre back, or we need a goalkeeper. So that you never catch up. You've got to go and get it done fast. Thanks for watching. Speak to you soon.